What legacy are you leaving others? The legacy I'm referring to is how people will remember you. Your compassion, your love for others, care for others. Are you self centered or are you more others centered? Listen to this tribute to her dad and the impact he had on her, and she is passing forward his legacy. She, in turn, is passing her legacy on, which is ostensibly generational. Hi there, and thank you for joining us on the Overcomers Overcoming podcast. We feature those who are in the process of overcoming or have overcome any type of life encounter, life obstacle that at the time seemed to be almost insurmountable. With this podcast, we have three objectives in mind. Our first objective is we want you to know with a confident resolve you are not alone. We want to work with you. We want you to know there are others who are working with you, who want to help you through whatever you are encountering, and together we will get through whatever you're experiencing.
Our second objective is there are multiple options for any life encounter you are facing. We want to help you develop a resolve that there are various options and solutions to any life dilemma.
Our third objective is to help you with critical thinking skills. If you're encountering something that was possibly a decision you made sometime in the past, and if you had the opportunity for a life redo, you would make a different decision. We want to help you with those critical thinking skills that can help you make an informed decision and not encounter what you're going through at the moment. We are the Cooper Culture, a veteran-owned business. We work with business personnel and families to develop and sustain connected relationship cultures within their families and organizations. That type organization is one where people feel wanted, appreciated, and genuinely a part of that organization. I'm with my wife and business partner, Marty, who is helping me facilitate this podcast. Today we feature Marissa Levin for our second episode, where she shares with us the legacy her dad left her. He passed away at age 94 and left a very positive, lasting legacy with her. He's a very benevolent person who worked with NASA and worked many projects, but with everything that he worked, he always had someone else in mind who can benefit from whatever he's working on. That tribute passed on to Marissa, who is in turn passing on her legacy to others by helping others through coaching to determine their purpose in life. Marty, what are some takeaways we can learn through Marissa?
It was good seeing Marissa again for the second episode, as you said, and the joy in her life going through the loss of her father and how she has now come around and through his life, she has the same outlook on life. She's working on joyful leadership, volunteering in hospice. So she's like her father, she's giving back, helping others. And that example was through her father that she learned this.
It's a great opportunity to learn about joy in our life. Let's listen and learn together. Marissa, it's great to have you back with us. Our last time together, your dad had very recently passed away, and it was just a very sensitive time in your life, and we sincerely appreciate that. Now you've had a bit of opportunity to reflect on your dad's legacy, and I just think there's a lot you have to offer our listening audience. Marissa, it's great to have you back with us.
Thank you so much for this space and this trust, and I'm so looking forward to this conversation.
Marissa, where do you want to start with your dad? And I want to frame this in a way that for you men listening, I want you to listen to Marissa and the impact her dad had on her and the impact many of us men have on our daughters, granddaughters, any number of people within the circle of our influence. But Marissa, I think through your dad, the relationship you had with him, I think is very typical of relationships in the legacy men have in our lives. And Marissa, I want to frame what I just said. I am not in any form or fashion. I don't have the thought that women are subservient to men. I don't think any aspect of that is true. We just have an impact on ladies within our lives.
We certainly do. And so I grew up in a house of service. My mom, as part of her career, she ran a homeless and AIDS shelter in Baltimore City in the 1980s. And she was a director there. And my dad, I mean, his whole life was a life of service through NASA. So he was a cabinet level appointed chief at Goddard Space Flight Center. And his function was taking NASA technology and commercializing it and bringing it to the world. And the impacts that he made on, I mean, thousands and thousands, if not millions of people through the programs and the initiatives that he oversaw. He worked on the defibrillator, the first defibrillator that was on the market, the first artificial pacemaker that was on the market, diabetic insulin pump, mammography machines, hurricane detection systems for third world countries. These are just a few of the programs and initiatives that my father oversaw with the transfer of that NASA technology to the commercial market. He also at NASA stood up the SBIR program, the Small Business Innovation Research Program, so that entrepreneurs without funding could have access to funding. He helped to stand up the 8A program at NASA. He ran an incubator in Baltimore City. And these were just a few of the things that he did. But the beautiful thing about that, Ron and Marty, is that if you asked anyone about my dad, I think the word that they would probably use to describe him is humility. So just his whole nature was just so loving and so benevolent and so giving. And all the work that he did truly was driven by just a desire to want to lift humanity. He actually had one of his mentors was a woman named Nona Cheeks. And she started working for him, I think it was about 42 years ago. I had lunch with Nona on Saturday, which was amazing. And she was this young African American woman from Prince George's County. And my father met her as she came in as an administrative assistant. And he saw something in her. And he said, I absolutely want you to work for me. And you have to get your high school degree, your college degree, and your graduate degree. And I will be happy to mentor you and raise you, right? And so she did, and she went to the top of the heights because when he retired, he promoted her and put her in his position as chief. So that's one example of how one person in this world can make a difference in the life of others. And now Nona is running a business that is helping the underserved around the country, underserved youth step into their technology potential. And so all of that came from my dad. And so that was, the energy, the spirit that I just was raised in, just in, a family of service. And my father just was this man of service and love and gentleness and humility. And he did pass away on August 27th of 2023. And the last birthday that we were able to celebrate with him, my two older brothers and myself, when he turned 94 on May 4th, we were at his house and we got him a huge birthday cake because at 94, he was fully with it, like 100%. And he was having a poker game that night of like 7 or 8 people, like he was having like a whole bunch of friends over for poker. He played poker until he was 94, twice a week. And he hosted that game twice a week at his house because he was not mobile by that point. And all of his friends would come to his house because they wanted to be with him. And every week he complained about the one guy that kept eating the candy. Like it was just so my dad, right? And he, huge Ravens fan, huge Orioles fan. never really got riled about anything unless you brought up when the Colts were stolen from Baltimore in the middle of the night. That's what got to him.
Yep.
But just, the most beautiful, loving, benevolent spirit. And again, really leading his life from a place of humility, which I think is a very scarce character trait in today's world. So, with the proliferation and the overconsumption of social media and the need to say, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at all of my achievements, right? I mean, never once was he ever like that type of person, despite the fact that he received dozens and dozens of excellent, medals and awards and certificates and recognitions for his contributions. That was never what drove him. So for me, as I've, built my legacy, and I continue to build my legacy, I really do keep top of mind the importance just of lifting humanity and service and being in that place of humility and gratitude. That is just kind of how I go through my life.
My understanding of what you're saying, Marissa, I'm going to use only slightly different terms. Your dad personified, it's not about me.
Never.
And he would, whatever he's working on, projects and the mammogram and so forth, he would think, I wonder how someone else can benefit from this. And he seemed to be the type of person who's always thinking of, let's say, a larger global impact. It's not about him. In Nano, and I'm going to make a statement here. I hope no one misunderstands what I'm saying. But when your dad looks for the very best in people, we don't we do care more about character value than we do, let's say, culture, skin color, and so forth. And I just hope no one misunderstands what I'm saying with that. But when we look for the very best in people, almost always we find it, Marissa, and that seems to personify your dad.
Most definitely, unless you're taking his candy from the poker game or you're talking about the Colts being stolen from Baltimore, then all bets are off.
But then even with that, we can pound our fist and vehemently disagree with each other, after which we're going to sit down at the table and eat with each other.
That's exactly right.
Marissa, I so appreciate the story about your dad and this lady that Nona, you called her Nona? Nona. He saw, even with maybe without even talking to her, just some of her actions. Anyway, he saw potential in her. And I just love it when we help someone find their purpose and help them to move on.
Yes, for sure. And when we looked at all of the pictures, we have so many pictures going back, into the 60s and 70s, right? And the 80s. I mean, she was right there alongside of him during all of those pictures. So she was very much like an extended part of our family.
So great.
One of the things we teach and help people define is, what is your purpose in life? And Marissa, I don't know that you have encountered this. My sense is, in listening to you, interacting with you, you two have been with people who don't know exactly what their purpose in life is. They may be stuck, whatever the term may be. But when we help people define their purpose, they know you use the term calling. Mm-hmm. When we know who we are, our strengths, and when all that fits together, I think Marty and I together, and I suspect you do as well, we can help people have a fulfilled life. And I picture your dad just being totally fulfilled in everything he did.
He was. He definitely was. Yeah, it was. And I certainly didn't appreciate the lesson for that reason. But as I reflect back, I mean, yes, that's exactly what it was. And I agree with you. When we have that sense of purpose, that's what's tied to our spirit internally, right? That's what gives us joy. And my purpose here, my lifetime legacy mission, as I call it, I made that up, is to empower 1 billion people to live their most joyful lives. Like, that's what I'm here to do. I've had a 30-year journey of entrepreneurship and leadership. I've built multiple companies. My first company, I got to about $14 million. with about 85 people. And then I transitioned out of that. And then I launched a second company called Successful Culture International. We built a leadership education academy, and my partner and I sold that 2 years ago. In between, I launched another company with another partner to help women business owners step into their potential with year-long cohorts. And now I've got two other companies. One is around curriculums for conscious leadership for emerging and established leaders. But my biggest joy in my heart really is to help leaders and people in life just enjoy their journey, to find the joy in the journey. So I have a joyful leadership model that is a very structured way in which leaders can fully tap into the joy, despite that the leadership journey can be full of struggle. There is still joy to be had, and there are things you can do to elevate that joy, to kind of minimize the chaos. And then my joyful life model is just to help people really expand their own personal path and journey of joy. So that's really what I'm working on now, taking all of my 30 years of experience of leadership and culture, building businesses, evolving out of businesses, my spiritual path, raising children, overcoming a lot of different adversity. And it's kind of all come together now at this point in my life where I can fully step into everything that I'm meant to be and help others find that joy.
Wow, that is great. Let's advance the topic a little bit more about joy.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, in this context, joy, fulfillment are largely the same. They can end up being the same result. But I'll maybe contrast that with happy. Well, I'm not happy today, but that may be for this 30-minute, 1 hour period of my life. But Marissa, can I experience joy? Can our listeners experience joy in spite of the fact that, man, I am struggling with something? There
Yes.
is something that's not right. Something is unsettled in my life right now. Can I still have joy in spite of that?
Yes, we can have joy every day. What I like to say is that not every day is a good day, but we can find good in every day. Okay. So it takes intention. It takes focus and presence and a desire and willingness to choose joy, regardless of what your circumstance is. We can wake up and we can choose joy. And, we're having this podcast on a very historic day, right? It's election day. There are a lot of people who have a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of unease, and that is certainly to be understood. And we also must remember that there are many things that we can control, regardless of what the outcome. We can choose many things. We can choose to be grateful for the fact that we are alive, that we all have this day alive, right? We are all here. We all have love in our life, right? We all have some modicum of health, right? Everybody has different struggles, but we all have health that we can be grateful for. We have food on our table. We live in a time where there is access to opportunities that never ever existed, right? We have opportunities to begin again. We have opportunities to forgive ourselves. We have opportunities to forgive others. We have opportunities to mend broken relationships or strained relationships. Every single day that we wake up, we have opportunities to step into the gift of life. And in those moments is where the joy is, right? Not waiting for some big payout or windfall or decision, or, if this person wins, then I'm going to be happy. If this person loses, then I'm going to be happy. That's not what joy is all about. It's about really getting grounded with who we are and knowing that we have so much control over our own destiny.
Is it a matter of becoming aware of those things over which we do have 100% control? I'll put it in this context, Marissa, that I don't have any control over whether the proverbial you like me, accept me, but I do have 100% control over my attitude of gratitude, whether I choose to be accepting of you and the words that I choose to speak with you, those kinds of things. While that may seem so incredibly elementary, I'm wondering if you might say that no, that you do need to you need to be aware of those things over which you have control and make decisions, move out on it.
100%. I just wrote about this in my blog, right? My topic was, who are you becoming even in uncertainty? That was the topic of my blog. And there I listed so many things that you can do to make sure that you stay grounded even in uncertainty. There's so many things. I mean, we can continue to push our own agendas, our personal plans forward. It really is in the making of the plans, not necessarily in the outcome of the plans, but where we're able to execute our purpose is to make sure that we're moving forward with those plans. Viktor Frankl, who is a Holocaust survivor and lost all of his family in the camps, his entire family was exterminated. He wrote the book, Man's Search for Meaning, while he was in the camps. He literally sewed the paper of his book into the jacket that he was wearing. He wrote that book in the camps. And one of the things that he's always taught is that every freedom can be stripped away from us, except for the attitude that we choose and the power to choose that attitude in any circumstance. So as a writer, as someone, who writes columns and books, I use that so much as inspiration because I'll, say, oh, I've got writer's block, right? And I'm here in my beautiful little nest, of a home. And I'll be like, maybe I just need to go to somewhere else. And then I'll think, Viktor Frankl literally wrote that book in the worst conditions possible with death everywhere. And he wrote that book in the camps. So we can choose, no matter where we are in any circumstance, to have an attitude of joy, to have an attitude of gratitude. We can choose that in every moment. One of my very dear friends, her name is Marcia Rawls. She owns the Phoenix Resort in Asheville, North Carolina. And as you can imagine, she has to rebuild. Okay. Mm-hmm. So her attitude, her resilience, she just has this unstoppable attitude that not only is she going to rebuild, she's going to rebuild better, and she's going to uplift the community. And she has had one set of difficult circumstances over another, as long as I've known her for 25 years. And she just moves through all of them with just no sense of disheartening or being, feeling defeated. She picks herself up and she keeps going. And so those are all choices that we have.
With what you said, Marissa, another person and book comes to mind. Dr. Willie Jolly wrote a book.
One of my best friends.
Every
Willie.
setup is a comeback or a setup. Every setback is a setup for a comeback.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of an attitude that, okay, in spite of what just happened to me, in spite of, everything can be an opportunity to learn. Every failing can be an opportunity, based on our mindset, to advance, learn from, and get better. And in spite of that, but yes, we all many of us know Dr. Willie Jolly, but it's an attitude that can we rise above whatever encounter we are in the midst of, and yes, we can, but it depends on our attitude.
And Willie is one of my most important inspirers. I mean, he's one of my dearest friends for almost 20 years, and I surround myself with those people that uplift me. And when I feel down, he's the one who I call, right? So it's really important to surround ourselves with others that can lift us, right? That we can go and saying, I'm struggling with this, or I'm just feeling defeated. Or, I did call him a couple of weeks ago with just a little bit of emotion around what was happening with the election in this country. And it was 5 minutes and he was able to reset me, right? So it's okay to feel, sad or defeated or nervous or insecure. And we can choose what we do with that, right? Like to be aware of it, to notice it, to reach out for help, to journal, to call a friend, to take a walk. I mean, I do a lot with nature. I'm very connected to nature. We can reset ourselves. You know, who we are at our highest point and our lowest point is really not who we are, right? Like, I mean, like I always say we never want to make decisions when we're on a peak or when we're in a valley, right? Like that's never the time to make a decision. So, you know, we can choose in any moment what our attitude is. And I coach CEOs and leaders and leadership teams. And I was just on a call with one of my clients this morning, a young leader, and she's in a difficult environment. She's in a borderline toxic, okay, borderline toxic culture. And I was very upfront with her. I said, "Are you looking to leave?" And these are, you know, safe containers. And she said, "I'm not looking to leave." I said, "You're choosing to stay where you are. You're choosing it. If that's your choice, find the gift in it. The fact that you're in a challenging culture presents incredible opportunity. You're working with difficult people. Our most difficult relationships are our greatest teachers, right? Our tendency may want to be to run from them. We should lean into those relationships because that's where we grow. That's where we're uncomfortable, right? So I've helped her navigate those difficult relationships. She is managing and leading some other people who are not great performers. Wouldn't her life be easier if all of her direct reports were perfect performers? Yes. But would she be learning anything about her own leadership style? No. So every difficult situation has within it a seed of growth. And so that's what I encourage all of my leaders that I coach, you know, is to look for the gifts and to own your choices.
I think that is right on target. Marty and I espouse leadership in the context of always create a psychologically safe environment, culture where, Marissa, we can come to you, you can come to us. We feel free to talk about anything that may seem to be difficult, but know that it's a free and open space. I value what you think, the way you think, and together, which is a very operative term for Marty and me, together we will devise a solution, and we will make it through. We will overcome whatever it is, because everything, again, it's an attitude, has to do with anything and everything can be an opportunity. It's a matter of our choice.
But even if the culture is not safe, right? Because my experience over the last 30 years has definitely shown a negative trajectory of culture. Just, you know, from the pandemic, just the number of generations, the political climate, the environmental climate. There's just been a lot of contributing factors to difficult cultures. Every employee in a culture, if they're choosing to stay in their company, okay, also has the choice to not engage in that energy. All right. So this employee was telling me about these conversations going on over here and the negativity here. And I said to her, you have a choice. You are an energy body. You have energy. That's your energy. You can choose to contribute to that. You can choose to assimilate into that energy. You can contribute to, you know, you can choose to contribute to the whining that goes on in that culture, the victimization that people choose, right, where they're victims of their circumstance, or you can choose to extricate yourself from that energy and focus on what you can control. And that's the difference between leaders being coached and not leaders, right? Not being coached. So, you know, my ability to coach her, I'm able to help raise her awareness of her own energy and what is within her realm of control.
You're right on target. And for those listeners who may want to engage in what I call being a keyboard warrior, which is faceless, voiceless, we have to make a decision whether to engage in that or just set some things aside, knowing we can't make someone change if they choose not to. But again, those things, those factors over which we have control, I choose to engage in those, and use a very operative term. I choose to surround myself with, I'm going to call this my term, forward-leaning, forward-thinking, positive-thinking people.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's a matter of just choosing, again, those things over which we have total control. And your dad was such a very positive influence in your life. That legacy he left you, you are leaving others, that it's not about me. We can work through everything in life, can be an opportunity, and we just need to find the good in whatever situation we're working in. And Marissa, sometimes there are times that, gosh, I just feel like, man, I'm in a really deep funk, but gosh, I just need to work myself out of this or surround myself with the Marissas and Martys of the world to help me out of the funk I'm in. And if I've stated something that's not what you would do, certainly correct me in that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I do that. I mean, I am not everybody's wired that way in terms of outreach and wanting community. I personally am very social. I need community. I have invested in different communities. We know each other from NSA, National Speakers Association. I'm a member of multiple communities. I thrive on that energy. Not everybody is like that. So they need to make a little bit more effort to have the awareness for when they are feeling down and know that they have resources available to reach out. So being mindful, of where your own energy is and honoring that.
Now, in the context of your involvement with many other people, would you describe yourself as an outgoing or more of a reserved person?
So we do a lot of coaching on energy management. I would say that I am an ambivert. So, you've got your extroverts who thrive on that external energy, introverts who get drained by that energy and really can recharge when they're alone. The ambiverts, what that means is I get very motivated and energized by other people, and I love to be in community. And I really need my alone time to recharge big time. Like you may know this about me. I mean, I do a lot of meditation. I am in meditation every day, every day. I mean, my whole home is basically one big meditation center. It's just like, that's the vibe here. I'm a devoted practitioner of Kundalini yoga, which is a certain branch of yoga that is all about moving the energy and using the breath. And so I'm looking to get certified in that in the spring. I have been a devoted practitioner of Buddhism for almost 30 years, born Jewish, but definitely what I will call trans-spiritual, where I bring in like a lot of other different things. But yeah, I am very, very dialed into my energy and what I need to do to restore that and replenish that. And I honor that for myself very much.
Can be a topic for a much larger discussion, and it is a topic of which we coach on, but it is knowing yourself and knowing exactly who you are, your energy, and yes, ambivert. Yep, there's many of us who are extroverted by, let's say, personality style, but then there are times that, boy, for the next hour or so, I just need to be alone in the woods to,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
I spend a lot of time alone in nature, like I said, in meditation, very protective of my sleep. I hold a very strict content diet. That's what I call it. I rarely watch the news. I can tell you today, November 5th, I will not turn on the TV. Like, what's the point? Right. So I need to stay positive. I need to stay focused on what I'm trying to move forward. I've got a day full of work. I cannot control anything that's happening out there. I did what I can control. I voted. I've made my opinion known. And that's really all that I can do. Right. So if I'm committed to elevating joy in the world, right, elevating joy throughout humanity, reducing suffering and struggle, and that's what I'm here for. I'm not going to accomplish that by watching TV all day and getting myself all riled up, right? I'm focusing on all of the activities that I can do, me, to be able to push my mission forward. That's what I can do to help elevate this world.
Absolutely, right on. For the listener who would like to contact you to get more information, perhaps ask you to coach them, how can a person contact you?
So I'm on LinkedIn. That's where I post the most. And then I'm also on Instagram. And people can find me at Marissa International. That website's undergoing a little refresh, but the website's still up there. And my email is marissa@marissainternational.com. But definitely LinkedIn, I'm very engaging on LinkedIn.
Great. Now, do you coach both in person and virtual?
I do. Typically the C-level that's kind of where I just have always been coaching. I don't do life coaching, even though my coaching for executives brings in a lot of the different life coaching components. And then I'm launching different groups around joyful life and joyful leadership. So that's a way, my thing is how do I impact the most people, right? So I'm building a joy community. I'm building programs around my joyful life model, my joyful leadership model, as well as an online program. So that's really what I'm focused on. There'll be lots of ways to engage with me.
Great. Marissa, I think there's a lot we can do together, whether it's in just however that is, but the more we have it sounds as if we have a lot of common goals, a lot of common values, that we have an outreach. We want to outreach people and help them live that joyful life. And I think we all agree it's a decision you make.
It is a decision.
And once you make that decision, then things can fall into place, but that decision has to result in taking action. And
yes,
once we take that action, one of the things that can benefit a lot of people is surround yourself with the right people.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Marissa, thank you so much for sharing. Your dad has left a great legacy with
Thank
you.
you.
You are leaving a great legacy because of him. And let's all pattern ourselves after Marissa, her dad, and let's purpose to leave a very positive legacy and think about the positive people, positive things over which we have control. Marissa, thank you so much for the life you're leading and the opportunities you're presenting to have other people live that joyful life.
Thank you. And thank you for creating this space and this platform to share these stories.
Thank you.
We appreciate having the opportunity to share our and our guests' life experiences with you.
The Cooper culture advances organizations to achieve and sustain high retention rates, connected communication, and trust through personality insights and principled leadership. You can contact us at our website, thecooperculture.com, and you can contact us directly at ron@thecooperculture.com or Marty, Marty, at thecooperculture.com. We work with you to help assess aspects of your culture to advance the environment and people to their best performance. We do that through our staff of certified personal performance coaches, leadership trainers, keynote speakers, and DISC personality behavior experts. You can book a speaking engagement directly through our website by contacting us at ron@thecooperculture.com. We look forward to sharing our life experiences with you, some of which are profound, some of which are pretty funny. Some of those life experiences are ones we'll never do that again because we've been through stuff. We truly look forward to working with you, speaking with you, helping advance you in any way that we can.